Hey everyone. Today I want to do a video on kind of the psychological aspects of acne and how personally I changed my mindset about myself, my skin, and acne, and how I found that to be monumental in clearing my skin and keeping it clear. So let me first say that I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. I've studied psychology, but to no great extent. I'm not an expert in this topic. This is just how I found relief with the anxiety that I've been coping with for the past several years, and how my anxiety impacted my acne, and, you know, personal experiences that I hope can help you overcome your anxiety about your skin. So first, obviously, some people still believe that there's no connection between your skin and your mental health, and I'm hoping to dispel that myth in my upcoming ebook. But for the time being, let me just say that there are studies that suggest that acne is very psychologically damaging, and that the stress that we deal with in our day-to-day lives has a direct impact on our health. And our health, particularly our gut, has a direct impact on our skin. And so when you have acne and you have stress or anxiety, you tend to be caught in a kind of vicious cycle. You're either stressed, which results in poor health, which results in acne, or you have acne, which results in stress, which results in more acne, etc., etc., etc. And you can see how this cycle continues. The more acne you get, the more stressed you get, the more stress you get, the more acne you get, and it just becomes difficult to get out of that cycle. So I developed anxiety prior to developing acne. Do I think it played a role in my acne? Probably. I was going through really traumatic personal issues after I had developed anxiety, and I think that my anxiety kind of flared up and was definitely a contributing factor to developing acne, and furthermore, it was a contributing factor to my worsening of acne, as well as, maintaining acneic skin, because I couldn't cope with anxiety and I couldn't cope with the stresses that I was faced with every day. And I mean, I still struggle with anxiety. I still have panic attacks and, I guess they're anxiety attacks. And I still struggle mentally, but I've come a long way from where I was when I first started. And I mean, it's kind of like a weight is lifted off my shoulders, and I know that even just watching this video, that it's going to be helpful for you to know that you can change the way you think. There are mental health issues that aren't as easy as changing your mindset. I absolutely 100% understand that. Personally, for me, my anxiety was stemming from a very easily changeable issue. And of course, that easily changeable issue is just as easily fallen back into, and it's easy for me to find myself back in that rut if I'm not mindful about my mental state and physical state, for that matter. And I think that being mindful of your mental health and of your emotions is extremely important, because when you're not considering how your mental state affects your health, and you're not realizing that sometimes things are perhaps being blown out of proportion by yourself, you're doing more damage psychologically and physically. So if you're watching this video, obviously you are aware of some kind of psychological difficulties that you are imposing on yourself, via your skin issues, maybe body issues. They all kind of have the same effect on you and your health and your skin and your body. So I mean, that's kind of the first step in the process, is being aware of that. Some people think like that they don't have, stress in their lives. And I was one of those people. I was like, oh no, I handle stress well, I handle anxiety well, but I don't. Like, I internalize my anxiety until it manifests in a very dangerous way, which is psychological breakdowns. And a lot of people do that. They internalize that stress, and so they're not aware of the fact that they are doing this. So hopefully by watching this video, that means you are aware that you do that to yourself and that it does have an impact on your skin. So what can we do to deal with this tricky situation that we're in? It's not cut and dry. There's no cookie cutter answer. I wish there was. I mean, nothing's going to make this go away in the blink of an eye, not even medication. When I first got anxiety, I was put on anti-anxiety medication and it made things worse. Like, I was in this depressive state of mind where it's like I experienced neither highs nor lows. I was just zombie-like. It was bizarre. And that's not an answer to a problem. That's not to say that medication can't fix some people's mental health issues. I mean, it's definitely an avenue to pursue for some disorders. However, for my type of anxiety, it wasn't something that was going to help short-term or long-term. So I knew that I had to fix things from within me and my mind, and that I had to do something about it, or I was going to end up somewhere I didn't want to be. So I made small changes. I started avoiding mirrors for the first little while because I found that being around mirrors and constantly being able to see my skin really hurt how I treated myself. I would look in the mirror and I would get angry with myself for having skin like that, and because I'd be like, oh, what I'm doing is working and my skin's getting better, and then I'd see myself in natural light or in like a mall mirror or something where the lighting is very unforgiving, and I would be so angry because I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm out in public like this. Like, people are looking at me, they probably think I'm disgusting, they think I'm dirty. And so I found avoiding mirrors for a while really helped to get me out of that mindset that I was doing something wrong or that I was failing. So then I started trying out these positive affirmations. I had read a couple of studies that said that if you force yourself to smile or you tell yourself all these things you like about yourself, that you'll start to believe them. Like, you'll almost trick your mind into believing them, which seemed plausible to me because I know that the body handles stress in only one way, and your body can't tell the difference between real and imagined stress. So if you're thinking of all the possibilities of things that can go wrong, your body doesn't understand that those things aren't actually going wrong, and so you're putting this unnecessary stress on yourself. And so it seemed logical to me that telling myself all these good things I liked about myself and hearing them would almost affirm that these things were true for me. And I have to say, it really helped. It sounds silly. It doesn't sound like it'll work, but it helped. It helped me. Would you talk to a small child the way you talk to yourself? So when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, you're ugly, like, you can't do anything right, you're hideous, look at that acne, why don't you do something about it? Would you talk that way to a small child? Would you talk that way to anybody else besides yourself? You need to stop and think that you wouldn't do those things to yourself if you were somebody else. You would treat yourself better. You'd have more empathy for yourself, and you'd be easier on yourself than you are. And I don't think any of us are very easy on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves because we think we aren't doing enough and we can't do anything right, which is not true. We are constantly changing. We're constantly becoming better. We may stumble, we may fall, we may do things wrong. We may have a couple of setbacks with our skin, but it's not something to beat ourselves up over. I would force myself to smile specifically when bad things were going on in my life. So if like I had a really bad breakout or I'd catch myself in the mirror and see a really big pimple coming, I'm like, I'm happy, I'm feeling good, it's not a big deal. And I probably looked like a weirdo to some people because I was doing it in my car a lot. Um, just going like this, like, I'm happy. And it seems silly, but like I said, it really did work. It made me smile. I think if nothing else, it made me kind of feel silly and goofy, which made me laugh and it made me happy and it made me smile. Because I'd look at myself looking like a dork doing this, and it would kind of make me forget about what I was stressed about in the first place. So we need to first and foremost practice being nicer to ourselves. And again, this is easier said than done. Like, how do you be nicer to yourself? You're probably thinking, and I don't have the answer for you. It's a mental state that you need to find. You need to find that place, that way to get there. However you need to get there, you need to get there. Whether it's doing those positive affirmations that I did, whether it's being conscious of how you're acting, how you're reacting to a situation, you need to find a way that works for you. The only thing that's going to change how you feel, how you act, is you and how you choose to handle situations. When we have mental health issues stemming from anxiety to depression to many other mental health issues, it's going to be a huge barrier to getting better and to breaking that mental health skin connection. But you need to first and foremost stop being so hard on yourself. You need to exercise the same empathy you would extend to others. You need to be positive. You need to give yourself these positive affirmations, and you need to tell yourself that things are going to get better. And you have to realize that these beauty standards that people hold us up to are not achievable. They are photoshopped. They are illusions. There is a lot of makeup involved. There are people out there who have beautiful skin. Of course there are. But everybody has flaws. There are people out there who are touted as having beautiful skin who have imperfections. You just don't see them because you don't see the raw form that you see in the mirror every day. Nobody sees these people the way we see ourselves. And so you're comparing yourselves to these people, and it's not achievable. But I am in charge of my life. I am in charge of my mental health, and I am in charge of how I feel, and nothing or nobody can make me feel any way that I don't want to feel. And you don't have to feel insignificant or inferior or like a failure either. You have to be positive, believe in yourself, and know that you can do it. You can get through it. We all do. So if you feel like you have to speak to somebody who can help you work through these self-image issues, anxiety issues, then you need to seek help where you're going to get it, which is from a licensed professional, somebody who is trained to deal with these situations. People like me are only going to be so helpful in sharing anecdotes on these types of things because these situations are very unique, very personal, very subjective. And you also need to realize that we're not broken. We can't be fixed because there's nothing to fix. We're not, a broken toy. We're a work in progress. We're constantly growing and changing. And if we're looking at ourselves at this step in the growth process and thinking that this is what the finished product is supposed to be like, we're going to be let down. But you need to stop that mindset and you need to look at yourself as not how can I fix what's wrong with me, but how can I grow? How can I make myself a better person? And so for me, how can I grow and how can I be a better person was about changing my lifestyle. And I think a lot of it had to do with not just necessarily having a healthier lifestyle, but having a lifestyle that made me feel good about myself reflected in my skin as well. So my lifestyle changes obviously had to do with diet. It had to do with exercise. It had to do with what I did with my downtime. I started going out in nature more and enjoying hikes, and I started studying topics I really enjoyed, like science and astronomy and physics and biology and all this amazing stuff that made me realize that I am so insignificant in the grand scheme of things that all my problems just seemed so minuscule. But at the same time, I didn't want to undermine how I felt, and it's not a good idea to undermine how you're feeling when you're having an emotional response to something. It's just as damaging to tell yourself that you're doing something wrong as it is to tell yourself that your feelings are stupid for feeling that you're doing something wrong. It's like you're being a bully to yourself either way. You're telling yourself that what you're doing is insignificant or insufficient, and neither of those are ways to heal the mind. So how you feel does matter, but you need to try and change how you think about yourself, which will change how you feel. Some people have an easy time finding a way to change their mindset, whether it's meditation or it's yoga or it's physical exercise like running, hiking, swimming, biking. Some people enjoy things like knitting and coloring. Coloring is extremely therapeutic. I mean, I feel like there's only so many things that you can do that are therapeutic for you that are actually probably good for you mentally. But you need to find what works for you, to find that mental state that you're at peace in, that you're happy in, and use that time to reflect on how you look at yourself and how you look at others and why those two are so vastly different from each other. And maybe your therapeutic way of dealing with your anxiety or stress about your skin is by expressing it in art form. Maybe you want to paint how you feel. Maybe you want to write about how you feel. Keep a diary, keep a log, or make a YouTube channel, make an Instagram about your skincare journey. And you might end up meeting a lot of people who have the same issues that you have, and you might develop a fantastic coping mechanism. You might see all these people going through the same things as you, and you may not feel like you're so defeated, because I know that that's what helped me, was having a community of people who struggled like I did, who succeeded despite their struggles. And seeing other people succeed meant that I could succeed too, and that nothing was out of my grasp. I think you're only ever going to be free from acne when you acknowledge that acne is temporary, that it is in no way indicative of who you are as a person, or your abilities, or your worth, and that acne does not run your life. Acne is not a measure of who you are as a person. You are beautiful, you are perfect, and you're enough. And that's all that matters. I hope that this video helped you at least a little bit. I know it was just kind of me rambling a bit with my thoughts here and there. It wasn't scripted or anything, obviously. And I just hope that you know that if you're never 100% clear, that you have to learn to be okay with that. That there is a point when you're going to have to come to terms with your skin and the fact that our skin can never be perfect. And that once we're clear, we still find things to hate about ourselves. When my acne went away, I started finding other imperfections. I started looking at how big my pores were and how my scarring looked and, all these other things I just hated about my skin. And until I realized that I was always finding these things to hate about myself, when I had to just start loving myself regardless, despite these flaws, because they're so insignificant that we shouldn't let them rule our life. And remember that even if you get rid of your acne and you still live every day in fear that your acne is going to come back, you're not really clear. You're not free from acne's grips. You have to break free from that grip it has on you, and you have to let it go. And you have to be free in here in order to be free on your skin. And I know that sounds very new agey and not scientific, but the brain is very minimally understood. And from what we know about how our diet and our gut affects our skin and how our mental health affects our skin, it plays a much bigger role than people are willing to admit. If you like this video, if you didn't like this video, thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave your comments below on what you think, on any tips you have for your mental health and how you deal with anxiety regarding your skin. And if you think that I touched on something that you want more information on, or if you think that I failed to mention something, please comment below. Let the people know what you're thinking and what's on your mind. And don't forget to follow me, Vegan Acne Sufferers, on Instagram. And I have a Facebook now called Vegan Acne Sufferers. It's just a wee little baby account that I just started. And yeah. And look out for my upcoming ebook for December, hopefully, is when it's going to come out. Thanks, guys.